I'd like to call the May 3rd Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Our first order of business is our invocation by County Manager Ms. Sharon Russell.
Thank you, and good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come before you and conduct the business of Onslow County. Please bless us with wisdom, guidance, and your leadership as the board deliberates the items on today's agenda. Lord, this month we celebrate the contributions and achievements of our older Americans. Thank you for the decades of experience and years of life they have shared with us, for they have served as role models for future generations. Please bless and protect those who serve and defend our nation, our law enforcement officers, and our first responders. May all we do this day bring you honor and glory. Now, with deep respect and reverence for the faiths, beliefs, and traditions of those gathered here today, join me in a moment of silence. Amen.
The next item is the Pledge of Allegiance by Assistant County Manager Mr. Ben Warren. All stand, please. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to recognize our elected official, Sheriff Miller. Thank you, sir, for being here. Also, Colonel Thomas from the Sheriff's Office, thank you, sir, for being here. And I believe we have the Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Barry Collins. I think he's here. Thank you for coming. We ask that all in attendance please set your cell phone to silent or vibrate mode. The board offers the public one opportunity to speak during the meeting. Commissioner comments should be limited to no more than 5 minutes and may be on any issue upon which the Board of Commissioners has control. In accordance with the board's adopted rules and procedures, commissioners shall reserve responses, if any, for the commissioner comment period on the agenda. I now would ask for a motion to adopt the meeting agenda.
Mr. Chair, motion to amend the agenda to remove item 6B, general item, surplus land, new offer. Second.
Have a motion and a second to remove items 6E. All in favor of that item signify by saying aye.
Aye. Motion to approve the agenda as amended. Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Item 2 is items on the consent agenda. Is any item in which any board member would like to have removed for further discussion on the agenda?
Chair,
Motion to approve.
I'd like to remove or have it put at the end for item A, as known as B80,
Okay.
for discussion.
Okay, that'll be put to the end of the meeting. Any other member have anything they'd like to have removed? Hearing none, a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We are now at item 3, public comment. Ms. Russell.
Good morning, Chairman Bright and Commissioners. We have one person who has signed up this morning for our public comment period. Citizens may address the board for no more than 5 minutes on any issue upon which this board has control. Citizens are acknowledged in the order in which they sign up and are asked to approach the podium, announce their name and address, and to address their comments to the board as a whole and not to any one individual commissioner. Our Board of Commissioners does not respond to speakers during the public comment period, but rather during the commissioners' comments at the end of the meeting. Discussions between speakers and members of the audience are not permitted. As well, profanity, references to profanity are also not permitted. We do ask for speakers to be civil in their language and to keep their comments to exactly 5 minutes, not promoting any business or candidacy as part of that comment. And at this time, I would like to welcome our one public comment period speaker, Ms. Salem Clark.
Good morning, County Commissioners. This week, May 2nd through 8th, is National Travel and Tourism Week, and there is more reason than ever to celebrate the collective strength of the U.S. travel and tourism industry, plus its dynamic workforce. Oh, I apologize. Salem Clark, 121 Canal Street. I almost didn't follow procedure. So the 38th annual celebration recognizes the power of travel and the critical role our industry will play in bringing back our vibrant communities, restoring the economy, rebuilding our workforce, and reconnecting America. Prior to the pandemic, the travel industry was a powerful economic engine, supporting jobs and driving local economies in every pocket of America. Unfortunately, that strong growth trend plummeted last year due to the pandemic. Travel spending in the U.S. declined 42%, costing the economy $1.1 trillion, while hardworking Americans supported by travel made up a staggering 65% of all U.S. unemployment. Here in Onslow County, we have felt these hardships and declines. However, Onslow County and the travel industry is resilient. While we faced extraordinary challenges in the past year, our industry united like never before, lifted each other up, aided one another, and devoted ourselves fully to the task of supporting and restoring all sectors of travel. This year's National Travel and Tourism Week is an opportunity to turn the page in a new chapter in our industry story and celebrate its collective power by spotlighting the innumerable ways travel will drive recovery and bring Americans together again. Despite the hardships of last year, Onslow County Tourism is ready and eager to welcome back visitors and help drive Onslow's recovery efforts. National Travel and Tourism Week is an opportunity to remind visitors and residents of the incredible contributions of the travel industry, not just to our local economy and workforce, but to our community's identity and culture. I personally want to say thank you to the County Commissioners for your support to the travel and tourism industry. This past year, we have fared well as a county due to our amazing tourism attractions and businesses, especially our outdoor experiences. Visitors can get out to the beach, kayak, go to parks, and experience smaller towns for unique local culture. It is such a great way to get out and relax. One such partner that is connected to Onslow County is Onslow County Parks and Recreation. The outdoor spaces, beach accesses, and events they offer are a great resource for visitors. Plus, we are looking forward to the new recreational activities and venues that are coming soon. To close, it is the power of travel that will drive America's recovery, and I am proud to support this incredible industry. Be sure to check out our social media page as we highlight travel and tourism this week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. That concludes our public comment period, Chairman.
Okay, we'll move on to item 4, which is presentations. But Ms. Kimberly Wilson.
Chairman Bright, Vice Chair Foster, Mr. Bennett, Buchanan, Price, and Scott, our County Manager, Ms. Russell, and all those who serve Onslow County, good morning. I am Kimberly Winston, the Social Work Program Manager with Onslow County DSS, as well as the Chair of our local Community Child Protection Team, Child Fatality Prevention Team, and I am here to present our annual 2020 report. This annual report is required by North Carolina General Statute 7B 1406. Onslow County is unique in that we have a consolidated community child protection team and community child fatality prevention team. The membership of our team, we have mandated members, and they include our DSS director, a DSS staff member, law enforcement from Onslow County Sheriff Department, Onslow County Schools, the Garnett Lightum, the local health provider. We have our public health director with the health department, as well as a staff member from the health department, judge, a county medical examiner, a peers representative, mental health services, as well as a consolidated human services board member. We also have appointed members that have been appointed by you, the commissioners. We have EMS, JPD, the fire marshal, youth services, a parent rep, and that parent rep is someone who has had a child to die. We also have a member from our family advocacy program, a board base, the Department of Juvenile Justice, as well as a representative from the Child Advocacy Center. I would like to share with you the number of cases reviewed by our committee during the calendar year 2020. We had 5 cases that were presented by either DSS or members of our committee. And those cases that usually come before us are those cases that have systemic issues or barriers to services, such as a lack of resources for mental health services for youth and children, or for those children that are in foster care that need a higher level of care, and we're just not able to get that here in our county, and we have to reach out to other resources. In addition to that, we reviewed 20 fatalities last year, and those fatalities actually happened in 2019, so our committee reviews a year after the fact. Just to talk a little bit about those fatalities, we had 7 premature deaths, and those ages were between 20 weeks and 33 weeks gestation. We had 7 natural causes, medical, and those type of deaths included some type of brain tumor. We had pneumonia, upper respiratory infection, heart disease, lung disease. We had 3 co-sleeping, unsafe sleep practices, baby deaths. We had 2 suicides, both of those were hangings, and we had 1 accidental drowning. Last year, I presented to you that we reviewed 25 fatalities. Some of the conditions identified that affect the well-being of our local children and families in our community, and you've probably heard me say this before, one of the things is still we are working with co-sleeping and unsafe sleep positions related deaths. We continue to see an increase in illicit drug use during pregnancy and substance-affected infants being born as a result. Also teen suicide and opioid abuse among youth and families. I wanted to share with you a look back at the deaths that we have reviewed as far as unsafe sleep practices. And in 2018, we had 5, 2019, there were 4, and 2020, there were 3. And those infants were between the ages of 5 days old and 8 months old, and they died as a result of unsafe sleep practices or co-sleeping with their parents. Also, teen suicide deaths. In 2018, we had 1 hanging. We had 2, in 2019, 1 was hanging and 1 was an overdose, and both of those were 16-year-olds. And in 2020, we had 2 hangings, and that was a 13-year-old as well as a 16-year-old. Thus far in 2021, we'll be reviewing those cases next year. We've already had 4 deaths, teen suicide deaths in Onslow County, with the youngest being a 12-year-old several weeks ago who shot himself. Strategies to address these conditions and concerns that we have in Onslow County is that we'll continue to provide education, we'll continue to do community outreach. Even through COVID, we're out there getting the word out in regards to these conditions and concerns, as well as sharing of community resources. And we are currently working on a billboard to bring awareness to teen suicide, which will go up within the next couple of months. Some of our local accomplishments by our committee is that we've had a distribution of safety items to those in need, and those safety items includes pack-and-plays, car seats, and infant safe sleep items, safe sleep education in clients' home. Once again, despite COVID, we're being careful, but we are providing that education to clients. We also participated in the Out of the Darkness Suicide Prevention Walk, and that was a virtual walk. We're doing training on youth and teen suicide, and I'm excited to say that our committee, we reviewed 100% of the state medical examiner cases by our committee this year. We started out January, February in person, and from March through December, we went virtual, and we had the majority of our committee's members there ready to talk about these cases. Some of the barriers and challenges for protecting our children, of course, access to mental health and substance abuse service continues to be a barrier. We also saw a decrease in CPS reports of abuse and neglect, and we are sure that that was due to COVID-19. Kids were not in school, and school is one of our biggest resources as far as providing us with CPS reports as well as law enforcement. Some of our challenges we continue to tend with is educating a transient population, and that has a lot to do with the military, as well as COVID-19 impact to include isolation of children and youth and an increase in teen suicide. So how do we help Onslow County? I'm glad you asked. We have our Safe Kids Coalition as well as our CCPT, CFPT outreach. We partner with the Care Management for At-Risk Children, that's CMARC, that program to educate clients, and that's through our local health department. We provide pack and play, safe sleep items, car seats. We also had hands-on car seat safety checks, and we'll continue to work with our standardized child death investigation protocol. And law enforcement, both JPD and the Sheriff Department, do reenactment of children's deaths. We do community educational events. We participate in state intensive fatality reviews. We participate in trainings that's offered by the state. And all of our child welfare social worker staff have completed safe sleep and substance-affected mandated training. This concludes my report for 2020, and I'm available for any questions that you may have.
Any commissioners have any questions for Ms. Winston?
Ms. Winston, I thank you when you shared the barrier of not being in school. I
Yes,
think
sir.
you have witnessed firsthand how detrimental that can be, and hopefully that'll decrease as we get them back in school full time in the coming months. So
Absolutely.
that's been tough on y'all, and thank y'all for being a part of supporting and educating the public on that.
You're welcome. Thank you, sir.
Please don't, if you need help, you just reach out to us, and we'll be there for you. And thank you for what you do.
Thank you, sir.
Any other? Thank you.
All right,
I
thank you.
appreciate it. Item B, 2021 County Health Ranking. That's Ms. Hoover, our Health Director.
Morning, Chairman, Vice Chairman, and Commissioners. This presentation on the county health rankings, the 2021 release of this, will assist us in meeting accreditation evidence. Activity 9.1, which requires the local health department to disseminate data to elected and appointed officials, so I appreciate you allowing us to share this information with you. The county health rankings is based on a model of population health. It looks at both outcomes and determinants of health, and it's intended to start conversations, to bring others to the table, and is only one source of data. So we know that we're doing our community health needs assessment right now. This data that is used here may differ from some of the data that we hear from our citizens, and it's important that we look at both types of data. The first release of the county health rankings occurred in 2010, and they are updated annually. However, the measures, the weights, and the data sources may change each year. This is the logic model that is used for the county health rankings. It connects data to guidance and evidence, and then focuses attention on the drivers of health outcomes. The top two on the right boxes really are how we engage stakeholders in community health improvement, and then use evidence-informed policies and programs to drive community health improvement. So the 2021 release occurred on March 31st, and we have just shared this with our community health assessment team. Onslow County ranks 24th out of 100 counties for health outcomes, and in this ranking schema, 1 is the best, 100 is the worst. And then for health factors are those determinants of health, Onslow County ranks 27th. The outcomes focus on quality and length of life, and these health factors focus on health behaviors, clinical care in the community, social and economic factors, and the physical environment. This slide will show you the trend of how we have changed in both health outcomes and health factors year after year. In those early days, from 2010 to around 2015, there were changes in the way that they selected data sources. So there were changes just in kind of the model of how this program worked. But you can see that for the last several years, Onslow County has been very stable in terms of the ranking for health outcomes. And this will show you the framework of how these rankings are devised. So policies and programs, we'll start at the bottom left-hand side of this slide and kind of work our way around. Policies and programs influence these health factors. The health factors determine how the health outcomes kind of stack up. And like we said, when we look at health outcomes, we're looking at both quality and length of life, each of those domains being weighted 50%. And then in health factors, health behaviors, clinical care, social and economic factors, and the physical environment, all with differing weights, are the elements that make up the health factors ranking. As you move across this slide to the right-hand side, you see that there are many ways to drill down on this data. So we'll just highlight and quickly go through how we rank in each one of those areas. So like we had said, in health factors, we are 27th. Health outcomes, we rank 24th. To drill down within health outcomes, we are 35th for the length of life. The life expectancy in Onslow County is about 77 years. It's a little bit shorter for males, a little bit longer for females. Quality of life, we rank 17th. And then as we look at the health factors, we are 60th in health behaviors. And of all of the domains, our health behaviors are where we rank the lowest. Clinical care, we rank 28th. Social and economic factors, 24th. And then we can be very proud that we rank first when it comes to the physical environment. So as we look to those sub-metrics that make up health behaviors, tobacco use, diet, exercise, alcohol, drug use, and sexual activity, I have highlighted in yellow any of the rankings where we rank less than 50th in the state. So whenever we're looking at diet and exercise, both the Food Environment Index and our access to exercise opportunities are areas where we struggle. Drug, alcohol use, each one of those weights or measures that are included in that category, we don't fare well in any of them. And then in sexual activity, that is teen birth rate. And that is another area that is problematic for Onslow County. Skipping on down to clinical care, where we're 28th overall, we can see that access to care is not too much of an issue for us, but quality of care when it comes to mammography screening and flu vaccinations. And this is for the Medicare-only population, that is the data source here, are the areas that we struggle the most. We are proud that we've started a new BCEP program, the Breast and Cervical Cancer Prevention Program, that will help with linking women in the community to mammography. Looking at social and economic factors, education, employment, income, family and social support, and community safety are the factors that we're looking at here. And in this category, or in these domains, unemployment and social associations are the two areas where we have the most work to do. And then in physical environment, where we have ranked very well, air and water quality and housing and transit are the factors that are included there. And whenever these are all combined together, the way that they kind of stack up in combination puts us first in the state for the physical environment. So we will take this data, along with hearing from our citizens in the Community Health Needs Assessment, drill down on issues by asking the right questions and engaging our partners and stakeholders to prioritize our activities and the options that we'll look at for community health improvement. Through cycles of measurement, assessment, and improvement, we hope to be able to improve the community's health, repeat these cycles, and see a difference in how our community is faring in terms of its health rankings. We have community health improvement plans that are based on priority areas, and this is what that community health assessment team that I mentioned to you earlier works on. Right now, the community health improvement plans center on chronic disease, substance abuse, exercise, nutrition, and healthy weight. That concludes this presentation, unless you have questions, and I'll be happy to try to answer those.
Do you find that most of these negative factors are linked back to demographics, the age of our population, and to the transient nature of the community?
Certainly, because so much of our population is made up of young adults, certainly whenever we look at health behaviors and those that might not have as many years behind them to gain experience and to have some appreciation for the outcomes that come from some of these indicators, I think that certainly we have that.
With the teen birth rate, is that the school age children, or is that, you see any at 18, 19, especially with our young military families that come in?
So certainly, the teen birth rate is actually the number of births per 1,000 female populations, and this is for ages 15 to 19. So for this way of looking at teen births, they're not looking at all teen births, they're only focused on that 15 to 19 age group. And certainly some of these pregnancies in our military population, where we know that we have younger people getting married, might be intended teen pregnancies. So it is possible that data is skewed a little bit. But what we also know is that we would need to study this data a lot more carefully and make sure that we always have family planning services and pregnancy prevention options available for those young people in our community.
Thank you.
Any further? Thank you, Ms. Hoover.
All right, thank you.
Item C is proclamation. Ms. Russell, you read the proclamation in the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We do have two proclamations this morning. The first one is for Foster Care Month. I will read this into the record. State of North Carolina, County of Onslow, Proclamation Foster Care Month 2021. Whereas during National Foster Care Month, we have a responsibility as individuals, neighbors, community members, and citizens of Onslow County to recognize that all children need love, support, security, and a place to call home. And whereas Onslow County Department of Social Services currently has 153 children and youth in foster care. And whereas we recognize families are the foundation of our communities and our county, all children deserve stable, supportive, and loving homes in which to grow, thrive, and realize their full potential. Whereas foster care plays a critical role in providing young people who had to be removed from their homes a critical place of refuge. It is an invaluable resource for keeping children safe in temporary circumstances and providing stability, direction, and comfort. And whereas foster parents provide the love, safety, and stability children need in order to overcome adverse childhood experiences so they can reach their full potential. And whereas through partnerships with families, child welfare staff, and public and private agencies, there is a collaborative effort to ensure that children in Onslow County find permanent homes and connections. Whereas we use this time to renew our commitment to ensure a bright future for our foster children and youth and celebrate those who make a meaningful difference in their lives. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed, the Onslow County Board of Commissioners hereby acknowledges May 2021 as Foster Care Month, presented this third day of May 2021. I believe that Chairman Bright has asked Commissioner Mark Price to present this, and members of our Onslow County Social Services team are coming forward to accept this.
Being a foster parent is not just an experience. I would think it would be a calling. And I have some background of understanding with that because my parents were foster parents for a while, and my daughter has been a foster parent as well. And so I know some of the things, some of the willingness to step out and to take a child into your home and to treat that child as if they are your own. And so that is a calling. You have to have a heart for that. And so we appreciate those foster parents who are willing to do so. And of course, the social workers who go out and make the home visits, make sure that child's in a safe place to live, they're being provided for, and we'd just like to thank you guys for all you do. And if you'd like to say a few words about how you can become a foster parent or whatever you'd like to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners, for recognizing May as Foster Care Awareness Month. I have with me this morning Kimberly Winston, who is our Permanency Planning Program Manager, John Heisman, who is our Foster Care Licensing Supervisor, and Miss McLynn, who is one of our very honored foster parents, who has been licensed with us for a little over 4 years. Our foster parents have the most difficult job, and they are our most valuable resource. They allow the children in the department's custody to remain in Onslow County, to remain and have their connections, to stay in their community, and stay in their same school system. So we honor our foster parents this month. We could not do this job without them. As Ms. Russell said, we have over 150 children in the department's custody, and we only have 37 licensed foster parents. We need more foster parents. We need more people to be willing to open their hearts and homes to our Onslow County children that are in need. Ms. McLynn, if you would like to say a few words.
I have been a foster mom for 4 years, a little over. And anybody that's thinking about it that thinks it's too hard or it's not worth it, with every child that I've had in my home, I've had a connection of some sort on some level, no matter how long or how short they were there, and I know I made an impact. And if you're thinking about it, just do it, because there's so many out there that just need it. I'm taking guardianship of 2 children in this year. They're teenagers. I said I'd never do teenagers, but they're teenagers, and I love them both so very much. There are people out there that I know are like me that love unconditionally, and I know that there's people out there that just need the kids as much as the kids need them. Just take the chance and do it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We do have another proclamation this morning recognizing Older Americans Month. I'll read it into the record. State of North Carolina, County of Onslow Proclamation, Older Americans Month 2021. Whereas Onslow County includes a growing number of older Americans who have built resilience and strength over their lives through successes and difficulties. And whereas Onslow County benefits when people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds are included and encouraged to share their successes and stories of resilience. And whereas Onslow County recognizes our need to nurture ourselves, reinforce our strength, and continue to thrive in times of both joy and difficulty. And whereas Onslow County can foster communities of strength by creating opportunities to share stories and learn from each other, by engaging older adults through education, recreation, and service, and by encouraging people of all ages to celebrate connections and resilience. Now, therefore, the Onslow County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim May 2021 to be Older Americans Month. The Onslow County Board of Commissioners urge every resident to recognize older adults and the people who support them as essential contributors to the strength of our community. Presented this the 3rd day of May 2021, and I believe Chairman has asked Commissioner Walter Scott to present this proclamation to our Onslow County Senior Services Director, Mr. Clay Calhoun.
Unity of strength, it comes from our elders and our education from them. What we learn to be better citizens is what we can give back to them for their knowledge. And the Senior Services is doing an outstanding job in proclaiming and working with our senior citizens. And I want to thank you on the behalf of the Onslow County Board of Commissioners for an outstanding job, and thank you for what you do with our citizens. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mason.
Well, good morning. Thank you, Commissioners, county government. I really appreciate this. And on behalf of all the staff of Onslow County Senior Services and the community that we serve, I'm pleased to announce that this morning at 8 a.m. we opened our doors. So We had a whole bunch of seniors come in. They were excited, and what you do for us and the support you give us really means a lot. And we know 2020 was rough on our senior population. And they rebounded. They persevered, and they're doing extremely well, and I thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, sir.
Item 5 is a public hearing, and I'll turn it over to Ms. Russell for conducting that public hearing.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. We do have a public hearing this morning. It is scheduled to hear about updates to the County Code Chapter 5, Building and Building Regulations, and Chapter 6.5, Fire Prevention and Protection. And we're going to have staff background and recommendations given to us by our Director of Planning and Development, Ms. Jessica Rue.
Thank you. Good morning. Staff is requesting a few housekeeping amendments to Chapter 5 of the County Code, that's Building and Building Regulations, and Chapter 6.5, which is Fire and Fire Prevention. These ordinances have not been updated since 1991 and 2006, and there was just a couple of things that needed to be cleaned up in there. These changes are just modifications. They remove specific code references, like the last adopted one that was 2006, and we're replacing it with the most current version of whichever code it's referencing. Years ago, we were not allowed to make a reference like that. Now we are, so we're cleaning that up so we don't need to come in and modify this again. There's also some updates to addressing requirements that put them in line with building code and also our subdivision ordinance on the size of the numbers that have to go up on a house or a mobile home, and also clarifies some responsibilities here in Onslow County. Our scheduled fire inspections are done out of the planning department and not through EMS like in some places, and it cleans up who's doing what in those codes. So it's respectfully requested that the board consider adoption of the proposed amendments to building code and fire code, and if approved, authorize the chairman to sign necessary documents on behalf of the county.
Thank you, Ms. Rue. At this time, I will open the public hearing regarding this matter. We've had no one sign up this morning to speak on this particular public hearing, but I'll make one call to the audience. If anyone would like to come forward to speak about the updates in County Code Chapter 5, Building and Building Regulations, and Chapter 6.5 regarding fire prevention and protection. Seeing none, I will now close the public hearing, and at this time, this item is available for discussion and consideration by the Board of Commissioners.
Any questions from the board concerning this issue?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Revision to the purchasing policy and procedure manual. I think that's Ms. Laura Jones.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. There have been some changes to the federal regulations, which establishes our how we spend our federal money. So if we receive any grants or FEMA reimbursement, or we're a subrecipient of federal funding, there's certain guidelines that we need to follow. And the proposed revisions will actually update our local policy to meet those CFR changes. And the other requested policy revision has to do with the sale of real property. So when we receive offers, I bring new offers to the board, by statute, they're required to put down a 5% minimum bid deposit. But if the value of the property isn't that high, the bid deposit can be like $100, but the cost of the advertising could be $275 to $300. So we're asking that the policy be changed to read a minimum of 5% or $300, whichever is greater, and that'll help recoup some of those advertising costs. And if the proposed changes are approved, then the revisions, they'll be incorporated into our purchasing policy and procedure manual. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Hear a second?
Second.
Hear a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Jones. I think item B was removed.
Yes, sir.
So I think item C would be yours on final offer on some more property.
On March 15th, the board accepted an offer in the amount of $4,550 for surplus property. The parcel number is 062379. It's located at 109 Bostic Road. A public notice was advertised in the Daily News to allow other people to make upset offers, and we did receive upset bids. It is this property, you might recall, we did have back a couple months ago, but then they withdrew the offer. This is the property that has a mobile home on it that we did not acquire with the foreclosure, but Mr. DeSelms prepared a disclosure, release, and hold harmless statement. So the offeror has signed that, and they do know that the trailer does not convey with the land. And it is respectfully requested that the board consider the final offer of $7,000. And if the board approves the final offer, the property will be sold as is, and a deed will be prepared conveying the property.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Jones. Solid Health Multiple Species Cover Crop Initiative. That, Ms. Stewart?
Good morning, everyone. The NC Foundation for Soil and Water Conservation has provided a Soil Health Multi-Species Cover Crop Grant to Onslow County Soil and Water for the establishment of a multi-species cover crop demonstration site. The grant also covers a field workshop that will demonstrate the soil health values obtained through planting a diverse seed mixture and proper management of cover crop establishment and residue. The foundation grant is capped at $2,244 with the total amount based upon actual cost incurred. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider accepting the Soil Health Multi-Species Cover Crop Grant Funds.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a motion? I hear a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries unanimously. I think, is this one yours too?
Yes, sir.
You're not Miss Stewart, though.
I'm sorry?
Are you
I am.
Christina Stewart?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I was thinking of somebody else.
No, sir.
Go
I'm sorry, excuse me.
Go ahead.
On April 30th, 2020, Onslow County approved the original contract for the Hurricane Florence Watershed Restoration Grant in the amount of $351,178. The proposed amendment reflects a revised scope of work, a $165,084 increase in the funds for stream debris removal, and an in-kind match from the county in the amount of $23,807. The in-kind match will be met during normal staff hours. No county tax dollars will be used to facilitate the grant. The amendment awards the county a total of $540,069 from the Department of Agriculture to complete watershed restoration activities, including cutting and removing downed trees, broken treetops, and woody vegetation debris that impedes or has the potential to impede water flow in the streams and tributaries. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners considers accepting the Watershed Restoration Grant funds in the amount of $540,069 and authorize the chairman to sign the associated documents.
I need to change that verbiage.
Yes,
To
sir.
accept the Watershed Restoration Grant Fund in the amount of $540,069 and authorize the chairman and his designee to sign the associated documents.
Yes, sir.
Is that the motion?
Yes.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Health Department, a Consolidated Agreement. That's Ms. Hoover.
Good morning again, gentlemen. The item that you have here deals with the consolidated agreement for the Health Department. This agreement is between the county and the Division of Public Health, and we renew it each year. I brought this to you in the early April at the first meeting there, and it was approved by the Board of Commissioners and then within days of us sending out that agreement, an amendment was suggested and put in here. So we need to, again, accept this agreement and sign it. So the county attorney has reviewed the agreement, and it is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners accept this consolidated agreement, including the first amendment, Amendment Number 1, and authorize myself, Ms. Brenda Reese, the finance officer, and the chairman to sign on behalf of the county. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
A motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Have any questions for Ms. Hoover? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Hoover. Coastal Carolina Community College appointment, Ms. Russell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. We do have an appointment to the Coastal Carolina Community College Board of Trustees. This board appoints a total of 4 of those positions, and this year we have one of the trustees in his or her 4th year. This must be reappointed at this time in order for this person to continue serving. Every 3rd year, 2 currently serving trustees must be reappointed. Mr. Stephen Tyler Hart, Commissioner Representative. His term is going to expire on June 30th, 2021. Mr. Hart has expressed an interest in continuing to serve on this board and has provided a citizen participation application. That application is on file and has been certified by the clerk's office. I respectfully request that you reappoint Mr. Stephen Tyler Hart, Commissioner Representative, to the Coastal Carolina Community College Board of Trustees for a 4-year term expiring June 30th, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 8, item A, budget amendment was moved to the back for discussion. I open that up for discussion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I believe that the item that was moved from the consent agenda for discussion are the budget amendments that are put forward for this week. And we typically do have our budget amendments, which is a lot of the county business that goes on, is included on the consent agenda. We do have the full documentation at the back of the book. If there's anything in particular that the commissioners would like to inquire about, I welcome your questions, or I can go line by line through the budget amendments if that is your preference.
The only question that I have, and I want the public to realize, is this is in no way saying that anything was concealed from anyone. The specific item that I'm asking to be discussed openly is item B80, the Hines Farm improvements. Now, Ms. Russell, if you would you specifically state what the $32,600 is going to be spent on, please?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Scott and Chairman Bright and our other commissioners. So this request for budget amendment is to move funds that were earmarked in our operating account in securing this property to what we call Fund 40. Fund 40 is where we do our large capital expenditures. It's the place where we account for things like repairing roofs or replacing an HVAC system. Things that are expensive and have to do with our facilities go to this fund. So that's where this money is being transferred to. Now, how is this going to be used? So out at Hines Farm Park and Stables, which is previously known as Equine Country, when staff went out and started taking a closer look at the facilities, there were some safety and security items that needed to be complete before we open this up to the larger public. We do expect to have many more people out at the park than it had in the past, and we're going to be offering a lot of new activities. So we had to have some things situated, and to give you the 3 things that this $32,600 will pay for. One of them is flooring replacement for a couple of the cabins. As you may recall, there are 11 cabins out at Hines Farm Park and Stables that can be rented out to the public overnight. And prior to our purchase of this, A few of those were being rented long-term by people who actually called them home. So when we went to purchase this property, we gave notice, and those folks have found other places to live. Once we closed on the property, our staff went out, did a thorough evaluation, and some of those cabin floors consisted only of particle board. It is impossible for us to adequately clean and sanitize between guests if it's a particle board surface. So our professionals in environmental health have recommended a different flooring so that it can be properly cleaned and sanitized. So that's part of that money. Another part of that budget amendment, Commissioner Scott and my other commissioners, is for a storage building to be put on the property. And this is to house the paddle boats, the kayaks, the life preservers that are going to be used out at the pond. We are going to have that available. There's going to be a fishing area available to the public, and also for equipment that is going to be used on the grounds. We want to make sure that we secure all of that equipment so that it doesn't accidentally walk away, and so that folks aren't injured using that during hours that would be inappropriate out at the park in the middle of the night. The final piece that's part of that budget amendment is a floating dock. Now, this floating dock is actually for the pond because we want to be able to launch kayaks, paddle boards, and paddle boats from that floating dock, and to have a place where citizens can walk out safely and get into those vessels without falling into the side of the water or slipping on the mud, trying to get into their kayak the way I would do if I was putting my kayak in. This is not the kayak launch, which will be down on Gravelly Creek, but we did send staff out last week, and the report has come back very positively. We are going to be able to put in that kayak launch, and we are working on what it's going to take to finish out the end of the path, basically, that goes down to that kayak launch, and that will come before you at a later time as far as the cost of that floating dock. But this one is for the pond itself, where we'll have the paddle boats, and we hope that that'll be something that lots of families will enjoy. Did you have other questions about that, sir?
No,
Does
ma'am.
anyone
Thank
else have any questions about the budget amendments?
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Questions? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you. We are now at item 9, which is manager's comment.
Thank you so much, Chairman and Commissioners. And I should have said a few minutes ago, but I can yield any of my time if needed. Mr. Warren, was there anything I stated that didn't sound quite right? Do you need to correct me? Or Ms. Reese, my finance officer, on the budget amendment, did I say anything or leave anything out?
No, ma'am, you covered it very well.
Okay.
And one thing that I would add is, as we're looking at the kayak launch on Gravelly Creek, and we're looking at some of those other type of future improvements, one thing that we're looking at is grant funds such as the Goldie Foundation and other sources like that to be able to cover the cost of some of those improvements down the road.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Warren. Other manager comments I have for everyone. We have some good news. Harry Smith, our wonderful tax collector, updated me this morning. As of the end of April, our tax collection rate, even during this very difficult year, is now at 98.29%, which is a little ahead of where we were last year. So our folks in our tax department working hard, and our citizens keeping their word and paying their property taxes, and we appreciate them for that. Another reminder for the public, we are having some serious issues with fires in the county right now. We often talk about our fire service and the unique challenges that they face. Last year, we had 33 fire investigations that took place in the entire year. So far, in the first 4 months of this year, we've had 23 fire investigations. So we would really like to encourage folks to take care of their property, to think through what they're doing. Be careful with smoking, with cooking practices, candles. Outside burning is a very bad idea when the humidity is this low. Also, we've seen fires due to HVAC systems and electrical systems not being properly maintained, so keep that in mind. Just last month, there was $1.2 million in property loss in Onslow County due to fire. So just something for the public to think about. Also today, you heard Chrissy Richmond Hoover talk about our health as a community as a whole. It is very important for the public to participate in our community health needs assessment. This is a survey community-wide that is done every 4 years where they really study where do we stand and how healthy are we. And you can go to a survey link on our website for the health department. I believe it's also going to be linked to our main page, and participate in this community health needs assessment, and we would really appreciate the help of all of our citizens on that. Another announcement out of Consolidated Human Services: if any of our citizens are still having financial difficulties in paying for utilities, we have received an additional $50,000 in crisis intervention funds into our Department of Social Services. If you're having difficulty paying for your air conditioning, paying to keep your water on, you can go in to DSS or Consolidated Human Services on College Street, or you can visit the website and you can apply for this funding. I'm also pleased to say that in addition to senior services opening back up, which has made us all very happy, the museum is also open again, and our library is open, and we encourage our citizens to get out and enjoy that, as well as our parks. As for COVID-19, we're at about 16,850 cases. We are right now in Onslow County 6.3% positive, whereas the state is at 4.8% positive. We remain at 142 fatalities for Onslow County related to COVID-19. And as far as our clinics in Onslow County government, we have given just under 45,000 vaccinations at this point. Overall, of our citizens, 29,878 have received at least one dose, and 27,000 are fully vaccinated in our county at this point. So we're very excited to move forward with that and hopefully move beyond this nightmare pandemic year and never see it again. And that's all I have, unless any of you have questions for me. Thank you, Chairman Bray.
Thank you. We now move to commissioner comments. I think it's Commissioner Bennett's time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
To start off.
It's really good to see everybody. It's good to see everybody back in here and to be out of the vaccine business and be able to open up our chambers for people to come in again. We welcome everybody. A couple things I wanted to mention. Ever since we opened the Crisis Center several years ago, in partnership with Onslow County and Jacksonville and many other communities, there's been an issue with what do you do with people after they get out, after the crisis is over. There's a need for long-term rehabilitation. And we have an event coming up next week. Hope is Alive is a national organization that wants to build a long-term recovery center in Onslow County. And if you're a pastor or a church leader or a community leader and you're interested in what Hope is Alive is doing, there's a pastor's luncheon. They're calling it a pastor's luncheon next Wednesday, I believe, or it's May the 11th at 11:30. And I'd invite you to go to hopeisalive.net and register to go to that luncheon to find out what's going on in the long-term recovery area in Onslow County. Also want to mention one thing. Since 3 years or so ago, when the board asked me to go on the Onslow County Hospital Authority board, we have turned the hospital around with a partnership with UNC Health. Our bottom line looks a lot better than it has in many years. And I'm able tonight to congratulate Dr. Stephen Spencer, who's been appointed as our Chief Medical Officer for Onslow Memorial Hospital. We haven't had a Chief Medical Officer in many years, and we believe that his experience and His skills are going to bring together our hospital physician staff and hospital staff and be a huge benefit for Onslow Memorial Hospital. He's a medical doctor and a master of public health, and I don't know, he has a few more degrees that I can't mention or can't say. But we welcome him to Onslow County and look forward to the great things he's going to do for Onslow Memorial Hospital. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Buchanan?
I don't have anything today. I want to thank everybody for being here.
All right, we'll move on to Commissioner Knapp.
I really don't have anything to say. I apologize for being late. I got overcome by events, and I tried to make it here as quickly as possible, so I really don't have anything to say. But I do want to get with you after the meeting, Sharon. I got a question on something. And the only thing I will say about the Dix Crisis Center, we've got Mike Lazara, Senator Lazara, who is a big proponent of the Dix Crisis Centers, and he's looking into some legislation as far as a 23-hour facility for this Dix Crisis Center to move forward in terms of long-term treatment. So hopefully that'll come to fruition soon. But thank you very much, and again, my apologies for being late.
Commissioner Price?
I'd like to thank the foster parents and social workers and all they do for the kids of Onslow County, or foster kids, and getting them placed into homes, and all that you do to help kids have a stable family life. There's been a little bit of chatter on social media about equine country. I usually don't respond to Facebook posts which involve the Board of Commissioners. However, in an attempt to provide more of an accurate picture of the truth, I will respond to this one because I think it's deserving of a response, because it called into question my integrity and really the integrity of this entire board. An email was posted put out, which had a picture of an Onslow County government staff email from September 23rd, 2020, to another staff member about opportunities at equine country. I can only guess that the assumption was that if staff knew, then the commissioners must know, because the Facebook post suggested that the Board of Commissioners members committed violations of ethics as a result of these contacts. Well, I want to provide a little bit more of an accurate picture, because I wasn't informed of the opportunity to buy equine country until February 15th of 2021 in a meeting with Ms. Sharon Russell. That was the first time I ever heard about it. Obviously, someone knew about it. Obviously, the county staff knew about it because they had to do all the background research and all that. I understand that. But I didn't know about it until February the 15th. Then the question is, why didn't you inform the public, Commissioner Price? I didn't inform the public because I was concerned, number one, about the impact it may have on negotiations for the purchase of equine. Based on life experiences, I know the more that people that you have making offers on a property, the higher the price tends to go. So that was a concern. Also felt like that I am not the public information officer for Onslow County. That's not my job. That's Glenn Hargett's job. So I was trying to stay in my lane, do the responsibilities which you elected me to do. Also, if we look at the agenda, I find out about the agenda whenever it's published and sent out by the clerk to the board, Ms. Julie Wan. That's whenever I find out what is on the agenda. I don't know what's going to be on the agenda until I receive that email telling me to come and pick up my book with the additional information. This blue book that has all the additional information that we need to make decisions. The way the agenda is created is the chairman, working in consultation with the county manager, Ms. Sharon Russell, they get together and decide what needs to be on the agenda. Now, I have a rough idea of things that might be coming up on the agenda, but I'm not certain until I receive that email, because sometimes I receive advance emails about things that are being talked about or being considered. But I didn't know when the purchase of equine was going to be on the agenda until I received that email from Ms. Julie Wan. It was also noted that I am an ambitious person. That is truthful. I am ambitious. I am ambitious to bring about the truth. That's why I'm talking about this. What I'm telling you is truthful. I believe the truth is important. I'm also ambitious to get things done. I want to get things done. I don't deny that. I don't think you can be a successful member of the Board of Commissioners without being ambitious. I think too often we forget that George Washington arrived at the Continental Congress with his colonial militia uniform on, advertising the fact that he was prepared to take command of the Continental Army. He was an ambitious guy. I don't have any problem with that. Also, ambition for the truth is not a bad thing. And so it was suggested that I might be willing to do other things in the future if I had higher political aspirations. What I will not do is allow political considerations to hinder me from doing what I believe to be right for the citizens of Onslow County. Now, whether or not you like that or not, that's a decision you have to make, and I will be comfortable with that. I will continue to vote my conscience and allow the citizens to examine the content of my character on that basis. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Scott.
Okay, on truly a lighter note, I voted against equine country because I was not given the information that I needed to make the decision. It was nothing against anybody on this board. I have the utmost respect for everybody on this board. More importantly, I respect every county employee that we have. Okay? The vote's been made, and I want y'all to know that your commissioner that you put in this seat is going to support equine country, known as Heinz Stables and whatever the new name is, and I apologize for not pronouncing it correctly. But I'm going to support that endeavor to the best of my ability to make it work and to make it prosper for Onslow County. So don't think that I'm not going to do what you elected me to do. I will be transparent. I thank y'all for allowing me to sit in this chair because I'm representing you. And I will continue to support the citizens, the employees, and the commissioners on this board. And I thank y'all and have a blessed day.
Thank you, sir. Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just thank you to Salem Clark coming in and presenting and speaking there in the beginning with the travel and tourism and the importance and what that does for Onslow County. Appreciate what you had to say today, Mr. Scott and Mr. Price. And also hats off to our foster mom. I don't know if she's still in here or not. And DSS and all the work that you do to ensure the safety of our children in Onslow County. And Clay, Mr. Calhoun, and our senior taking care of them. And we appreciate all the work that you do. And your lasagna is pretty good. I don't know who makes it, but your lasagna was pretty good. And it was a great drive-through lasagna event. So thank you for what you do for the seniors here in Onslow County. And other than that, thanks for coming out this morning. We'll see you next week, or a couple of weeks, I guess it is. And I think by that time, we all probably would have attended one of our boards that we are associated with or on. And that'll probably be a good time to update everybody on the information that we get from those boards. So I look forward to sharing with you what's going on a little bit with ONWASA, juvenile crime prevention, and with our airport authority out there as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a matter of a few minutes before our meeting, the county manager, myself, vice chairman, and Commissioner Buchanan, we met with North Topsail Beach Mayor, and Mr. Ben Warren was in that meeting, and our grant and auditor was also in that meeting. We had a very good, productive meeting with North Topsail Beach. We found out that from them that a lot of things that were posted was misinformation concerning North Topsail Beach. I mean, they were saying how bad the emails and the postings were for North Topsail Beach versus what actually happened. So I think we have opened up the communication line with North Topsail Beach. It was very, very productive. We found out exactly what their needs are, what they can what they're facing as far as their budget shortfalls and so forth with the sand and beach nourishment and those items. We intend on meeting with them again down the road, probably every quarter, to see where we are with things and see what they come up with. They have asked us to look at funding of their fire department, and Commissioner Buchanan sits on the Fire Rescue Commission, and he's going to go to that board and talk with those folks on that board and see what can be established with the fire rescue for funding from the county, if we have that. Of course, our budget is still in work in progress. We all got our budget books today, and we'll be really looking at those and going through those line for line. And I think we have a budget message our next meeting.
That's correct, and I should have mentioned to Chairman Bright, the budget will be put on our website, the proposed budget for next year, and I will be hand delivering one of our budget books to the main library. There's also one upstairs in administration if the public would like to come and view the contents of the proposed budget.
There's an item that we talked about with North Topsail Beach about occupancy tax and how that's dispersed. And the way we operate and the way we have to do it is by reimbursement. They spend the money, and once we appropriate a certain pool of money, they spend the money, and then we reimburse them for that. So with those lines of communications opened and the idea that we get to look at things before we reimburse them, I think that's very productive on both parts, and we'll have discussion with individual commissioners to see what funding level that we may be able to do occupancy tax wise, and general fund money for the fire rescue part. But that's all a work in progress, and I'm hoping that we can come to some consensus of what we want to do to help North Topsail Beach out. They are a sister city, and they have needs just like everybody else, but also we have to look at all the other municipalities too, like Swansboro and Jacksonville, Holly Ridge. They all are players in the scheme of things. So it's not just focusing on one municipality. We have to focus on several municipalities to help them out, especially with tourism money and general fund money and sales tax distribution. That all comes into play on it. And we talked about that. But anyway, that's what I have. And other than that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you.